Hey everyone, and welcome to Real Lanterns. My name's Nathan, and today we're going to take a look at two lanterns from Dietz Company that collectors are excited about. It's the Dietz Scout and the Dietz Sport lanterns. Now these lanterns came out back in the 1920s, but in order to appreciate these lanterns, I want to dial us back all the way to 1879. And to do that, I'm going to bring out some of their friends, some additional lanterns. Give me just a second. All right, to fully appreciate the Dietz Scout and the Dietz Sport lanterns, we want to dial it back all the way to 1879. Now, in 1879, kerosene was still just, there was fairly new technology then. There were no electric lights, no automobiles. If you wanted to have a light at night, you had to have some sort of a candle or a kerosene lantern. You needed to use the bathroom. You had to take something with you out to the outhouse. That's when Dietz invented the Dietz Boy lantern. If you notice here, the Dietz Boy lantern has the same size globe as the Scout that we'll be talking about in a little bit. The Dietz Boy and the little bit bigger Dietz Racket lanterns, these were designed similarly. The globe just kind of pops out with a little bit of pressure. It's just kind of held in with a pressure fit up here. Now the top also actually just kind of screws onto the globe, but I'm not going to take that apart for you because I did that when I was doing kind of a dry run of this video, and I cracked the globe along the top. So those of you that are lantern collectors, you're wincing along with me. So I'm not going to do that right now. Always be careful when you're putting these antiques back together. But again, they just kind of snap back in there. Same design with the racket. And these were very popular. In fact, they were made up until 1908. That's a run of about 29 years for these two lanterns. Then Dietz stopped making them in 1908. We don't know exactly why, but that left a gap in their personal size lanterns. And a lot of the hardware catalogs picked up the cadet lanterns and sold those because people still wanted that skater lantern or that personal size lantern. Dietz did replace these with the US tin lantern. And if you notice, this is again a very similar model. It's got that pressure clip on the top to get the globe out. And just pops right back in. It's a bit bigger lantern here. Then, now we're in 1908, 1910. Think about it. This is when the automobile is coming onto the scene. 1910 is when the Boy Scouts of America were formed. Dietz wanted to capitalize on some of the automobile industry. They came out with their Eureka driving lantern. I don't have one of those, but here's a picture of it. Take a look at this. Now, if you look closely at the top and at the fount section of the Eureka driving lantern, you're going to see some similarities there. Let's take a look at at the Dietz Scout and the Dietz Sport lantern. The Dietz Scout, a very similar top and bottom to that Eureka lantern. Now these, even though the patents are from 1904, 1908, and 1914, these didn't come on the scene until the early 1920s, roughly 1921. But the Dietz Scout came out first. And the unique thing about these is that the fount just kind of comes off like this, very nice and easy, but it's a very solid lantern. When you get a hold of one of these, it's not made to be just a toy lantern. In fact, that's some of the advertising they used was it's not a toy lantern. The Dietz Scout comes out like this. You can light it, slide it back up in, and with a bit of a twist. Again, you always want to be careful when you're working with these. A bit of a twist, you can snap that back in, and there you have it. These were advertised to be used. They did get picked up quite a bit by the Boy Scouts, but then they changed their model from the Scout to the Sport. I think they wanted to broaden their market a bit there. In fact, their advertising, as you'll see, not only did they advertise it to the Boy Scouts, but they also advertised it to hunters and fishermen and automobile enthusiasts. Because again, flashlights weren't a big thing back then. You could put this in your case that you had right on your running boards in your auto, and you'd have a nice small compact lantern in case you ever get stuck on the side of the road. So these lanterns, the Scout came out in 1921, was replaced by the Sport in 1923. And then this one ran all the way up until 1944. Let's take a close-up of these lanterns here. This is the Dietz Scout lantern. This is the one that came out first. You can see there, you've got your naming on the top. Now, the very first Dietz Scout that came out did not have any of the stamping on the top, and they actually had a brass tag. Here's a picture of a couple of those. But here you've got your patent numbers, and again, the patents are from 1904, 1908, and 1921. The way that this lantern is held together is the top here is spring-loaded. You can pop that out and take the globe out. And then the bottom here has two little pins. Can you see those there? And this neat little brass spring. I love the way this brass spring looks. You'll see in a second. That's one of the things, the cost savings they changed when they went to the Dietz Sport lantern. But it's held in with that little pin there, and you just kind of turn it. Let me get it to go in the right direction. Turn it, and it'll pop right out. So that's, scoot that one over here. And then you've got, there's your fount, and you've got your burner in there as well. And we can unscrew this. I've actually got some kerosene in there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to set this down. I'm going to grab me a lighter, and we're going to light this guy here. A lot of times you wouldn't put it together or you wouldn't light it with it all completely torn apart like that. But you can either take the glass off and light it, or you can take the fount off. I think most often they would probably take the fount out. But there we go. Gonna line that guy up and see again, that's just a little spring clip that holds this together. Very nice, tight lantern. I love that it's got the globe guards on here and it's ready to go. Now, when they went to the Dietz Sport lantern, similar design. The globes are interchangeable. In fact, it took me a long time to find Dietz Scout globe because, you know, Dietz only manufactured those for about a 2-year period. A lot more of the Dietz Sport globes here. If you notice, the Sport globe is a nice, let's see if you can pick that up on camera, is a nice heavy stamped globe there. Same idea though, it clips apart like that. But if you'll notice down here, they got rid of the spring and they've just got a little indent here. I honestly don't think it works as nicely, but it's probably a little bit more solid, and there's less soldering required, so it was a cheaper way to manufacture it. Let's see here. Sometimes these can be a little tricky to get apart. There we go. And one thing I want to point out to you, if you get a hold of one of these, be very careful. This long brass sleeve here for the wick is can be very weak, especially if you crank on it to try to get this out. This one here, you can see it's loose in there because it did get, I think it's supposed to actually be down below those indents in there. So if you do take it apart, kind of be careful, use the stem a little bit, just don't want to bend that either, of course. When you get that apart, you can see right there's still a lot of the tinning left in the bottom there. So there you have it. And these were, again, real popular with the Boy Scouts of America. These were popular with hunters and fishermen. 1944, those of you that know your history, that's when World War II was in full swing. There was a shortage of tin-plated steel, and it's at that time when Dietz actually started painting their lanterns. They stopped manufacturing of the Dietz Sport lantern. They did come out in 1948 with the Dietz Comet. I've actually got one of those here. The Dietz Comet, beautiful lantern. This one actually looks like it's brand new. I found this one this summer at an antique shop. It's never been used, but it is one of the vintage Dietz Comet made in New York. But this was picked up, and then this ran up until batteries and LED, well, not really LEDs, but batteries and flashlights came on the scene. In fact, in 1963, this big beast from The Just Right Corporation was one of the replacements for the Comet. It weighs about 6 pounds, significantly more than the kerosene lantern, but you're able to have the spotlight in the front, the dome light on the top. So the lifespan of the Dietz Sport and the Dietz Scout lanterns was really bookended by the World Wars. It came out in 1921, just after World War I, and it was discontinued in 1944. But a good 24, 25-year range there. This lantern is still very, very popular today. I just sold one back in August on eBay. It went for $225. Here, I've got a picture of that. And even today, these are being replicated. There's a company called Winds that replicates these. So if you wanted to buy a new version of this, you can get those. I've heard they're fairly decent quality for being a repo or a reproduction. Here, take a look at a couple of these pictures. I do really like that kind of swirl red globe in there. I don't know. Tell me what you think down in the comments. I'm kind of a classic lantern guy. I don't necessarily like buying a lot of the reproduction stuff, but in a sense, it kind of keeps people interested in kerosene and kerosene lanterns. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you're enjoying these videos, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. So as I put new ones out, you'll be notified of it. And I do also want to thank the W.T. Kirkman Lantern Corporation. These guys have been great. They've given me a lot of the information that I'm sharing with you here. I also want to thank a couple of Facebook pages. There's the Antique Lanterns Collectors and the Tubular Lantern Collectors. Check those out if you're interested in this hobby or this collection here. And of course, I want to thank my videographer, Lauren, my daughter, who's she's just awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Hey, you guys, have a great day. God bless.